Hello, hello, hello. What is happening, everybody? Happy Friday to you.
Happy
Welcome, welcome,
Friday.
welcome. I pray everyone is doing well. Welcome to Bill Korman's Mindset Revolution, coming to you every Friday at 12 o'clock noon East Coast time. We're excited for today. We got an incredibly special guest, an incredibly good friend of mine. And we are super excited for him to share some words of wisdom with us here as he's familiar with our journey with the Mindset Revolution. And he's familiar with our companies. He's actually not only a super dear friend of mine, he's also my business partner in the radio station Star 97 FM and WBLR 99.9, and an incredible human being, most of all, man of God, husband, father, and just an incredible. I mean, what this guy's been able to accomplish in his lifetime is the equivalent to what it would take 10 human beings to do in their lifetime. And I'm not going to share anything about some other stuff because it may give away some of the stuff that he wants to talk about with us today. But we are super excited. So, we bring this to you every single Friday at noon, and then it goes out to everyone as part of the Mindset Revolution group. And just as a reminder for our agents that are on here, you are allowed to, I know we mentioned this the last couple of weeks, invite anybody you want. So this is open. It's not just for Built for Life Financial. It's open to all anybody around the world that wants to come and learn how to break those chains, right? How to get breakthroughs, how to overcome, how to create a world where you don't really have any competition anymore, right? And that's one of the things we're going to continue to go down the road and work with my incredible guest and business partner. He and I, we truly blessed to be the most incredible time in the life to be alive and to be he and I are working together on some amazing projects. But the idea that what happens to us is that we allow what happens to us to dictate our outcomes, right? And we see that every single day. And if that wasn't true, we would be in a different place in our life, right? If we could actually speak something, write something down, and then magically it happened just because we said it was supposed to be, then it would happen. But we know that that's a process because everything that we are and everything we've become up to this point is a byproduct of what we believed and the consistent actions we've taken, periodically and systematically over time. Right. So if we want to change that, just like if you have bad programming in a computer, you got to go in there, you find the source code and you reprogram it. And then you run some tests over and over and over again, millions of iterations to make sure that it works. And guess what happens? Then you prove it. Well, the mind is a computer, right? And my good friend that I'm about to bring up and share some incredible stories and wherever he wants to go with it. Neil Scripps. So on his background, you guys saw I posted in Collab, about his background. I'm going to let him share a little bit of that because I cannot do justice just reading from a bio. When I heard his story and I read a bio and then I got to meet him in person, and I got chills and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up when he was telling me his story and what drives him every single day and why he does what he does. Right. If you've ever seen America's Got Talent, Canada's Got Talent, all that kind of stuff, he is the number one of all time in history of the show. And therefore he's a staple of that. But again, you'll see when he starts sharing with you guys, you'll see why God brought the two of us together. That it has nothing to do with those gifts and talents. It has to do with what's in his heart and the core of a man and his convictions. So, ladies and gentlemen, please unmute your mics and give it up for my amazingly, truly talented and blessed friend and business partner, Mr. Danny Z. Let's go, baby.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
I can't even follow that. Thank you. Good night.
Welcome.
Yeah, that's it. After that introduction, what do you say? I'm going to mute my mic and walk away. That's a mic drop moment. That's it. Thank you, Bill. I love you. You know that. So, yeah, guys, my name is Danny Z. I'm excited to be here. I hope everybody can hear me. we are business partners in a radio station. This is what it looks like to be up since 3:30 in the morning on the radio. Okay. If anybody is wondering what it looks like, I'll start by saying we have a morning show called The Morning Groan, and it requires me to come in to the studio for 3:30. I'm in the studio right now, and I'm usually in about 3:30 to start things off. And there's no showering or getting ready in the morning. If anybody thinks that in radio you're getting prepared, no. I don't want to wake up my wife or family. I put so many times I come in and my colleague will say your shirt's on backwards or my shorts are on inside out. Like you don't even care. You loathe your existence, you get dressed, you go to Tim Hortons, you get your coffee, you come in, you put the headphones on, you pretend you've been up for hours, and that's the power of radio. You don't have to have a face for radio. So, yeah, it's very rarely that anybody gets me before noon showered, okay, shaved or showered. I'm a wreck. But my passion for so many things, thank you for the stage. My passion for so many things has taken me in so many places, one of which is broadcasting. And my radio broadcasting career started in 1997 on a station called Hits FM, where I will say to you, I won the job in a contest. And I didn't really win the job. They had what's the craziest thing that you would do to party with Metallica in the Arctic for 9 days. So I made sure that I did the craziest thing possible. And I spent 9 days with Metallica, Veruca Salt, Moist, and Hole. And it was the Tuktoyaktuk Polar Beach contest. And it was just amazing. It was an opportunity to meet some of these legends of music. It was an opportunity to be on a global stage. And I just made sure I stood out higher and harder than anybody else. And because of that, when I came back, I had so much success being on the road with these bands and standing out that when I returned, the producer said, "Would you like to work here?" Having never worked in radio. So they put me in the promotions team, and I worked from the promotions team at Hits FM to evening weekend host to morning show producer to morning show co-host, where we broke every broadcasting record in Canadian radio history. And we won every award that you could, and we just went on. And it was, as I call it, the Howard Stern time of growth, where he was competing in the United States and we were competing in Canada. We had been on each other's program many, many times, but in Canada, we had just grown so strong from that style of show. And it wasn't that we were crossing the line or cutting edge. It's just we were loud and proud, and we were using guerrilla marketing as a tactic, and we were really trying to make sure that the characters that we developed stood out. And because of that, we grew. So that opened up the opportunity for me to understand the importance of what media is and what you bring to the table when you create a character that people can fall in love with or can understand and move forward with. So I give the accolades to the character that I play today, and the person that I am today was a radio contest in the 90s, because truthfully, I don't know what my life would have been had it not been steered down that path. Now, since then, I've went on to do a number of things. We have opened a number of businesses. I'm a businessman. My family had created a franchise, and we invested in real estate. We did a number of things, and I'm skipping past those because it's not that they're not important. They are. I came from poverty, as many of us do. I just put my head down and worked very hard, and our growth in business and the investments and the things that we did from having nothing and investing in ourselves and believing in ourselves and creating a business that continued to grow with good work ethics and strong character at the helm, and we continued to grow. In the early 2000s, I had created this franchise in the 80s that was so successful that I had the opportunity to sell the franchise and be financially stable enough that I could do whatever I wanted. So in that circumstance, I did what every logical person in the world would do if you were financially stable. I said, I'm going to be a magician. I want you to know nobody's ever used those words in a sentence aside from me. Nobody ever has. So, in my 30s, having never done a magic trick in my life, I decided that entertaining an audience and doing something that could influence young people and old alike, I decided to create a character named Danny Z's. And I had a mission board, which I believe in. You put what you see up there, and you hope that you can do it. And I wrote a note to myself saying, in the next year, I'm going to get 3 shows a week, and that was my statement to myself, my promise, my mission. And in just less than a year, I signed a contract in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, to have my own theater of 700 people. And we did 2 shows a day, 7 days a week for 7 years without missing a show. I broke a record for doing more consecutive shows than any other Canadian entertainer in history. So, it's the same thing. I'm not telling you that because I'm looking for the applause or the accolades, which I appreciate both, but that wasn't easy. I had to dedicate myself to it and put my head down at it and run at it. Even though I didn't know what I was doing, I had to try my very best at being that person, that character. I had to create a character that was um, uh, good for all genders, all races, all religions. Being in Niagara Falls, we had everybody that came from all over the world there. So our show had to be one that would follow anybody who walked through the door of any age. And it taught me a great deal about people. It taught me a great deal about culture and how people look at you as an entertainer or as a person in general. It taught me about customer service. It taught me a tremendous amount of patience because language barriers and people's beliefs and the positive and the negative, people who love the show, who want to talk, and people who wanted their money back. Like, I mean, it goes both ways. Don't think it was easy. It was not. In 2012, I was driving home from, pardon me, I was driving home from my show, and in driving home, a lady unfortunately didn't stop for a stop sign and hit me on my motorcycle. She was driving a truck. She broke a whole bunch of my bones, and my career as an entertainer in a theater ended because it was really hard to do. I was a wreck. I was thrown about 35 feet, broke my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, and my knee. And for those of you who aren't Canadian, who think, boy, those Canadians with the free healthcare are so lucky. No, 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 no. You'll be hard pressed to find a Canadian that's super happy about our free healthcare. I mean, we pay for it with all the tax that we pay on everything. About 47 cents of every dollar goes to about 1 billion taxes that we have, one of which is healthcare. And it meant that it took about 9 weeks for me to get an MRI. It took probably longer than that to get X-rays. My bones had healed before I had X-rays to prove that they were broken, and it took 2 to 3 years for me to get operations to repair the damage. So in that time, it gave me the opportunity to reflect on a number of things. First of all, something that I had missed doing 2 shows 7 days a week was, turns out I have a family. It's pretty incredible that when you work that much, you forget about that. And I was in such a mission, such a passion to provide, because as a father, I thought that that was my role, that I realized that the truth of the matter is I wasn't providing, I was neglecting, and I had neglected my family for all those years. So that operation and that accident turned out to be one of the biggest blessings ever, because it made me realize what was important, and that's family. And I will arguably have that conversation with anybody in the world. The second you put anything above your children, your spouse, your significant other, you've lost the reason why you're doing anything, because without them, you're nothing. So we put myself back together, and I had the option to go back, and I chose not to go back to that grind. I still kept the show and the entertainment portion of it, but I didn't want that contract or that show anymore, because I wanted to make sure that I had time for my family. So I purchased a broadcasting license and opened up a radio station, having worked in radio. And to pause briefly, even during the time of my accident, I worked radio because you could just talk. It was a great thing for me to fall back on. And in the area that I lived, I worked for a number of the stations because of the character that I am and the person that I am in the region. It was easy to get work in radio. I'm Danny Z's. I'm this character that has this show and these things, these accolades. So it was very easy to get the position of my choice at a number of the radio stations under those circumstances. And that is a blessing, I can say to you. Having an injury so significant like that and being able to walk into a good contract with a full-time job is a blessing. That means somebody much bigger than me is watching out for me. So the Danny Z character took off and my shows started to change, and I had to make another decision. I had to decide what that Danny Z character would be and how I would be able to move forward. So I looked at my career and what I was doing, and I did what any logical human being would do under the circumstances. I decided I would be an escape artist. Again, nobody's ever used those words in a sentence. I had never done an escape before, ever. And Niagara Helicopters and the city of Niagara Falls was doing a dedication and a kudos to the fact that Harry Houdini had performed in Niagara Falls. So logic would dictate that they said to me, hey, do you want to do an escape to pay tribute to this artist of magic and escapology? And I said, of course I do. And they said, you do that, right? I was like, yes. So having never done that, I did what anybody would do. I went on Amazon and bought a straitjacket. And a few weeks later, I was hanging from my feet from a helicopter in a straitjacket over Niagara Falls, having never done an escape in my life. I would recommend to all of you, don't do that. I'm an idiot. That's stupid. Don't do that. Okay. But it changed my audience. Doing something like that for television, doing something so extreme, opened up a global audience of people all over the world that said we should hire that person. It was a very strong decision on my behalf because it took me out of small Ontario or small Canada. It took me to a global audience, so much so that to this date, I've performed in 50 countries and more than 5,000 shows worldwide. So that's awesome. I can't even believe that that's my life. And I can equally say it wasn't planned. I didn't mean to do it. I say this to Bill when him and I have very lengthy conversations, and we have tremendous conversations. And I will say that when people think God opens a door, he doesn't. He just opens it a little crack, and you can peek through and see what's on the other side. I just run at it and kick the door open and say, hey, I'm here. What are you showing me? And I think that's a very important part of this talk that I'm sharing with you guys, is because it's okay to peek in the crack and see what's on the other side. But in my faith and belief system, God doesn't open up a door for you to peek. He opens up a door for you to advance and to take that step. And he can't provide everything. He can only provide the opportunity for you to have everything. And that's my belief system. And when I see that crack of that door, I have a raging ignorance of doubt, and I push it open and say, I'm going to try this. This is incredible. I would rather have died trying everything than I'd lived and tried nothing. So I push that door right open and I jump in. And it's taken me in so many incredibly wonderful places and things. And we were doing about 200 shows a year, and we were traveling with a crew of 20. And I was in Los Angeles doing America's Got Talent season 16, and I was on the Santa Monica Boulevard doing a television commercial for America's Got Talent, and my cell phone rang, and it was my producer, and he said, hey, where are you? And I said, this is what we're doing. And he said, I don't want to alarm you, but there's this thing going. We're going to stop production for about 2 weeks. We don't know enough about it, but it's this thing called COVID. So we're going to shut production down for 2 weeks, and you can just stay at the hotel or do what you want, but we just need a couple weeks. It's like a flu. It's going to go around and it's going to wrap up. So we all knew that we know now. It turned out it wasn't 2 weeks. It turned out it was like 3.5 weeks, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, it turned out it was like a couple of years, really. But it devastated the entertainment industry because we were informed that you weren't allowed to be close to anybody. You couldn't touch anybody. You couldn't gather in groups. You couldn't do any of that stuff. So as a person who makes a living off of doing that, what do you do? And so I was blessed enough to pour myself back into radio because at least people were listening. And I worked on that brand of the station that I'm in right now. And I put my head down and said, this opportunity is always here, and it's been here consistently. And at least I have it, and I can now be the voice of others. So I just did my radio show. I was doing a few radio shows a day because there was literally nothing else to do. And I put in my time. And um, not to take the wind out of the sails of this wonderful conversation we're having, but in during that time of COVID, as I call it, my 22-year-old boy who lived on his own, went to the dentist and had some dental surgery and got a staph infection and passed away. So um, it's on September 18th. It's his birthday, actually, coming up in another week, and he actually passed away on his birthday, which is horrific. And during the time of COVID, I knew he had been to the dentist, and I went to his house to bring him some stuff, and I found my beautiful boy on the floor. And I often say that God gives you what you can handle, and I never knew why he had so much faith in me to put me in a situation where I needed to be that strong. But regardless, he had enough faith in me to make me strong enough to get through that. So it was the honest answer is I papered up my windows and didn't want to leave the house. And if that was the end of my story, you guys would send me a bottle of wine or come and visit and drop some French fries off and say, I hope you're having a good day. That wasn't the end of the story. As I was sitting on the couch and struggling, my phone rang, and it was America's Got Talent again. And they said, we want to do the show again. We're trying to get out of COVID, and we need television. Television is as highest. And I said, I can't. I'm just not strong enough. I'm struggling. So one thing about Fremantle, who owns the Got Talent industry, is they have great resources. And they had counselors and people call me because they knew as a previous contestant that my mental health and the strength that I needed was at their forefront. So they put me in touch with resources that were a strength during a weak moment for me, a weak time. And through conversation and all of that stuff, I called them back and I said, I will come back to the show, but I want to tell the story of my son. So I went back onto the show, and we were doing America's Got Talent Extreme. And I walked out on stage and I said to Simon Cowell and the audience and the people that were there, I said, I'm a proud father, and this year I lost my son. His name was Mason, and a person is not forgotten when people say their name. So I came here because I want the world to know my son's name. And I did this crazy extreme stunt from I think it was 160 or 180 feet. I was shackled and locked in a mail bag in a box, and I had 60 seconds to escape before the automatic box fell. And it was horrible, but I did it. It was horrible. And yeah, please watch it. It's fantastic. AGT Extreme Danny Z. If you see it, the thing is incredible. But I escaped, and I went back down on the stage, and I had the ability to move forward in the program and tell my story. And when the show aired, Simon called me and said, I just wanted you to know that your video has been viewed about 300 million times, and it's been played in every country of the world. He said, people know your son's name. So as a father, when I look at that, I think to myself, how incredible that people all over the world got to know the story of my son. And the next day I had more than 6,000 Instagram messages from people who said, your story inspired me, and I lost a child or a spouse, or I'm struggling this, and I see what you went through gave you the strength to move forward, and all of those things, which were really beautiful, not just to hear, but to engage and be that voice. So that takes me all the way till today, where I stand before you guys as a colleague and a friend and a voice. Radio gave me the chops to talk to people. the Danny Z character in the stage in Niagara Falls gave me the ability to understand people and to work through and understand that I need to create a product that's something that is good for everybody. AGT Extreme taught me that things are so important, like family, and that tomorrow is a new day, and you have to learn to uh, celebrate the time you have with somebody and not grieve the time that you don't. It gave me a number of valuable lessons and valuable tools to become the speaker and the person that I am today. And I can't say that everything that I do is for my son, but I make sure that I mention him and share his story in every opportunity that I can moving forward. And today, I still entertain him. I'm about to leave for Romania in a couple of weeks to do my 17th or 18th Got Talent. As Bill said, I'm proud to say I'm the most decorated Got Talent entertainer in the world. I've done more shows like that. We just did America's Got Talent All Stars. I've been invited back a few times as an All Star. I've climbed that corporate mountain through the Got Talent industry, and it's taken me to so many wonderful places. I've done Ellen, Jimmy Kimmel, Jay Leno, all of those shows those talk shows and those opportunities, and they've given me a platform to share my character and share what I do. So today, as I got up at 3:30 in the morning, unshowered, and put my clothes on and didn't wash my hair and came in here with 2 coffees and did my show. Now, although I still get to entertain, I recognize the power of being behind the microphone, because if I can paint a beautiful picture with my voice, if I can share with people what I'm going through or what they need, if I can be an ear that somebody needs to listen to or a voice of reason, if I can share something wonderful or just make people laugh or be a part of things, I know that as I continue in this growth of me and who I'm going to become, I know that I'm going to help people who have the ability to listen. If I'm not on TV, I would like to at least be on the airwaves and share my story. So Bill and I had the opportunity to work together. And as he said in the beginning of this conversation, we hit it off right away. And I can say to you, I meet people all over the world, and in business and in the entertainment industry. I mean, I meet hundreds and sometimes thousands of people consistently. And I can equally say to you, I don't like a lot of people. And it's not because they're bad people, but in order to have a good relationship with somebody, it's like a farm. You have to invest. You have to make sure that you reach out to them and let them know that they're important to you, or you have to talk about family and the importance of those things. And it's like a plant, and it requires work. And somebody has to stand out very strongly for me to bring them into that circle, because I lead such a busy life. I'm a proud father of 6 children, the youngest, which is 1. I can't even believe it. And I want to make sure that my time is appropriately shared between my beautiful family and the small circle of friends that I call. And Bill and I hit it off right away, and I came to a conclusion very early on that him and I would be friends for a long, long time, because he just chose to be my friend, not because of who I was or what I was doing. And it had nothing to do with finances or business or any of that stuff. He was just a good, kind man. And after we had met many times, he just reached out to send me blessings or to let me know that he was thinking about me for no reason. And it's that farm, that plant ideology that I had talked about. It's hard to find people who will invest in people, not financially, but mentally and physically, where they're just kind. And for all of you who know Bill, you know that's who he is. So we just became friends. And the more we became friends, the more I realized that he was brought into my life for a reason. And that's when we became partners in radio. And it's because it wasn't about investments, or it wasn't about anything. It was about, I knew that he was bringing the right people to the table. It was a cracked door that I kicked open, and Bill was standing on the other side saying, "Surprise, it's me, Bill." And I embraced him and said, let's see what we can do together. Let's see how we can grow and how we can change the world. And we had many, many conversations about lots of things, not even knowing where it was going to go. And I had a business partner Rita Carey, who is the famous Jim Carrey, the actor. It's his sister. And she unfortunately passed away this year, and it gave me an opportunity to take a look at replacing somebody who was important to me. And it was a pretty easy person to fill. Bill is very important to me. So we became partners in this wonderful thing, which is Star 97 FM. Hold on, I'm in studio. Star 97 FM and WBLR 99.9 FM. You have to go into the radio voice immediately. And we have grown this business. And when I had the opportunity to share my story and talk to you guys about what we're doing and where I am, I jumped at the chance. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I'd love to share my story and talk to the people who need or want to listen. And let's take a look at how you guys fit into this motley crew of a studio that I have. How can we find ways to make this business stronger? And how can I be a character and Bill be a character in the development of what you're doing for the rest of your lives? How can we be a strength to your family and a strength to you as a person? How can we help you as a character? And how can we make Star 97 and WBLR an important asset moving forward so that that smart growth can benefit all of us? So I don't know. What do you think, Bill? I could talk for days, but I that's kind of who I am and where I am, and I would like to find a way that I can serve all of you and be a smart asset to this company as we grow.
That's amazing. Hey, brother. Thank you for sharing. So this strategy of doing this Bill Korman's Mindset Rulers came obviously from the book. People reached out to me and said, hey, can you help us with breakthrough? One of my good friends and one of our business partners, agents here, Dr. Stephen Crane, owns you met him at Jose's event, and he still loves, he shows me he still has a deck of cards that you gave him. So we one of the things he said is that, I think we need to have a time where people can get on and, an hour each week and talk about, have you bring in guests, have you talk and help people with this breakthrough, this mindset change and shift that keeps holding so many people back. So I know that in the journey that you've been through, the incredible life that you have lived and get to live every single day. Can you share, like, what is it after all the adversity you've been through, and you wake up each day, excited about life? We have some people on here, and they know some people on here, some people on their team and working in their business with them that are really struggling right now. So, can you share a little bit about how do you handle that? How have you handled in the past? And you also have helped a lot of people, obviously through humor and magic and all this other cool stuff you do. You've helped them be able to get over that. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. I struggle every day. I'd like to make all of you guys think that I'm super brave or confident. I know what tomorrow is going to hold and all of that stuff. And I don't. I look at my own life and I worry that I'm failing as a father, even though I'm trying to be present. I worry that I don't represent myself properly to my wife, who is my best friend. I don't worry. I mean, I worry that I'm disappointing Bill and all kinds of things in life. And I want you to know that I tell you that because they're not failures. Those are natural thoughts that we all have. We all want to find the best version of ourselves, no matter what we're up against. And no matter whether it's family, finances, or friends, there's going to be struggles. And it's how you address those struggles. That's what has made me very strong. I can say to you, I use this term often, and I said it earlier, I have a raging ignorance of doubt. And it's such a strong and powerful statement because it really represents the fact that I wake up knowing that I just have to try to give the best that day. As much as tomorrow is so important, what can I do that's incredible today that will help? And as an escape artist, I can say, there's an order of operations in everything that I have to escape in the way that I do things. So I want you to look at your own life and decide what you're escaping from. It could be a bad relationship. It could be a job that you don't like. It could be financial woes. It's never a job that you like if you're working with Bill. I'm just saying that. I better discredit that. But the hardships that we're faced, no matter what category or label that I put it on, is just that. There's an order of operations in order to escape. Now, when I get locked up and shackled, I know that there's 9 locks that I have to pick. And if I can pick those locks, I can get out. So my muscle memory takes me through the operations of taking each of those locks and feeling the chamber and the pins inside and making it pop and going on to the next thing. And the minute the escape starts, I know it's just order of operations until the escape ends. And I was and I'm going somewhere with this, so tolerate the story. I was in France doing France's Got Talent, and I had my young daughter with me. And she said to me, Daddy, are you afraid to escape the box? And I said, No, honey, I'm afraid to step into it. You see, the minute I step into that box, that's when I'm at risk. If I'm still on the ground, I'm safe. Once I get in the box and I'm shackled, now I'm in danger. So, for all of you that are experiencing hardships, no matter what that label is, no matter how we look at what we're going through, it's no different. It's about stepping into the box. Sometimes you have to step forward into something that you're not comfortable with. Sometimes it's a hard decision that you don't know if it's right. Sometimes it's just a cracked door and you don't know if you need to push it open. So, once the door's open, once you're in the box, it's order of operations in order for you to find that success. You have to have what it takes to take that first step and step forward into the box. And I'm going to tell you what my secret to success is. It's not that I've practiced opening the locks. It's not that I've rehearsed or tried something hard or any of those things. It's that I discovered how, because the key is inside of me. None of you can help me escape. None of you can help me advance to the next stage that I need to in life. I'm the only one that can. And the minute I discovered that the key was inside of me, I could unlock anything moving forward because the potential was within my own brain and what I was thinking and what I needed to do moving forward. So when you look at what you're going through, when you look at the hardships or whatever it is that is preventing you from making that step, understand that only the first step is hard. Once you've done that, you're going to deal with whatever it is that's on the other side of that door or whatever's outside of that box or whatever it is. You already have the key. And to my own faith, I can say to you, looking back at my belief system, God would never put me in a box without giving me the key. He would never put me in a situation or allow me to take that step if he didn't believe I had the tools in order to get out. So I don't want any of you to get shackled and locked inside of a box, but I want you to take a look at whatever hardships you're up against. And I want you to understand that they're just shackles that are preventing you from escaping that situation. The key is inside of you. Take that first step and do the order of operations to make you the best version of who you need to be. Because if you're not where you want to be in life, if you're not who you want to be as a person, and if you're not surrounding yourself with like-minded people that are going in the area, it's because you're shackled down. Use that key, take that step, and become who you need to be so that you can influence everybody around you to do the same. That's all I got. I mean, I guess not all I got. Bill's not talking. So, see, when I say it's all I got, Bill, in radio, you're supposed to jump right in there. And then you're supposed to say, that's Danny Z, ladies and gentlemen, back here
Yeah,
at WBLR 99.9. That's,
exactly.
yeah, that's,
That's powerful.
yeah.
So brother, thank you for that. And again, we have this, obviously this was recorded. It goes out to, a lot of people tune in afterwards because it is in the middle of the day on a Friday.
So you can
Um,
edit out that pause. So it
yeah,
looks like you came
yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. So then, yeah, so you find that the unmute button is, it can be difficult sometimes. So
Sure,
I
sure.
appreciate that. Do you have a few minutes to take a couple questions?
I would love to.
Okay.
And listen, if you guys don't have anything to ask, and I hope that you do have some questions, but if you don't have anything to ask, I could talk for days. I talk for a living. This is my job. So if you guys have nothing good to say to me, I look at it and say, 21 more minutes. Here we go. So head down. Yeah.
That's great. I love it. All right, guys. So I'm opening it up. We have the amazing Danny Z on here, and as you can tell from his life, his background, and what you heard from him so far, this is an incredible human being. And so I would love for you guys. I'm sure there's some burning questions you have about maybe his background, some of the cool stuff that he gets to do, or maybe just it's a challenge you're dealing with, or somebody you know is going through, so that he can help you guys with that.
We call that dead air. We call that a
That's right.
pause. That's where you have to just keep talking. That's
The
it.
pregnant pause.
Yeah. It uh yeah, If you have a question, you just jump in. You talk over me. I
Yeah,
am not
guys.
shy. I'm
Yeah,
not shy.
guys. If you have it, just jump in. Again, I know. Oh, everybody always wants somebody else to go first, and then they're fighting for the unmute button after that. So
Yeah.
let's see who's the brave soul that wants to go first. All right, Kurt, I'm actually gonna put you on a
Okay.
spot, Kurt, because you've actually dealt with a lot over the last several years, specifically, in this year so far, and you've got a lot of stuff on your plate. You have a massive commitment to help the sandwich generation, not only in the United States, but eventually around the world. So I would love for you to ask Danny a question about that journey and that struggle.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. I guess I'll say thanks. Did Danny, very, very nice. And Bill's been mentioning you for quite a while. Very nice to finally get to meet you and all that and hear your story and all that. And I think, as you said, as each of us deals with it, each of us has our challenges. And as one of the things that you mentioned, is God doesn't give you something that you're not going to be able to handle. There was actually a meme or a comic I saw years ago, which I actually used to hang on way back when I had an office I used to go to. I used to hang it outside. The second part of that, well, I guess that means that God thinks I'm a badass, of all the things, because, he really does, and a lot of times we kind of go through things and we have no idea how we're going to get through it. But, we have our faith and we kind of go through it. And we just kind of get through it. And then we kind of look back and go, well, holy crap, how did I do that? And all that, just to give you just a little bit of my background. I moved back in with my parents right before COVID. I've been caring for them. My dad was 96. He had bladder cancer, congestive heart failure. Mom's 90. All kinds of health challenges. I've been in and out of, hospitals and all that kind of stuff. My dad actually passed away last March and all that kind of stuff. I'm still living that. So basically what Bill was referring to is I've made it my mission to serve a generation, which is called the sandwich generation. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but it's basically people who care for their parents while raising children at the same time. It's a huge thing. It's financial, it's emotional, it's psychological. It's everyone, the more I've gotten to it, I realize, a lot of times people just need somebody to talk to, and that, so, just, I guess, just if you kind of share things, just kind of how do you keep going one day at a time, just kind of when it feels like the walls are kind of closing in on you. I think, I don't know everybody's story on here. I know a bunch of people have stories as well that are on this meeting today. And it just kind of seems like, there's some days where, you don't even know if you're going to make it to the next day and all that. I'm not saying, that we're going to do anything to ourselves, but just psychologically and the load that comes on us, what's a few of the tips that you've had to kind of help get through that? Because obviously, you've been through your own challenges, what you shared.
Yep. Listen, God bless you. And I'm sorry for those challenges that you're going through, and we all go through them. When I lost my father, I often say that he was one of the wise men in my life. I had, when I was young, I had a brother drowned. My father passed and my son passed. So there were the three wise men in my life that taught me so many things. And when you care for a parent as you do, people understand that it's incredible how we raise our children and then care for our parents who become our children almost, because you're feeding them and caring for them. And I can only look at my own experience and say it's so important. What you're doing is so important because of the dignity of our parents. Our parents are so proud because they raise us in such a strong fashion and they want us to be everything that they weren't in life. And then they become vulnerable and needy and they're almost embarrassed that they require our assistance in some fashion.
Very
And
much
one of
so.
the things that you touched on, which was so important, is more often than not, people just need conversation. So the sandwich ideology and the caring for people and stuff like that is so essential, but listening is so essential. I had one of my great friends, his father had dementia, and his father was struggling with some Parkinson's and some other things. And he called me and he said, Dan, I need some help. He said, my dad is driving me crazy. And I said, what's wrong? And he says, hey, Craig, what time is it? And I say, it's 9 o'clock. And then 5 minutes later, he says, hey, Craig, what time is it? And he says, it's 9:05. And then he says, hey, Craig, what time is it? And it's 9:10. He said, I just can't deal with it. And I said, listen, pal, I love you, but you're looking at it wrong. When your dad says, what time is it? Say, it's time to give me a hug. It's time to tell me a story of when you were a kid. It's time to tell me about when you met mom. Because every time he says what time it is, it's a lost moment that if you don't take advantage of, you'll regret. So as we look at loss and the people who we've had to say our goodbyes to, I don't think there's a single person on here who hasn't experienced loss that would give anything for one more minute. I have said so many times, God, if I could just have 1 minute to say I love you, or to smell my son's hair, or to kiss my dad, or to ask my brother something. Like, I mean, we would all do anything for 1 minute. So the importance of what you're building and what you're doing are those minutes. And as you struggle with your hardships, I want you to understand that the pillar of who you are is so much bigger than what you're creating, because what you can do and how you can inspire the people around you means that it's not easy for you. It means that you're taking that first step in that box, not knowing what's happening. And it's the challenges of, am I making a difference? And you've made a difference in your own family. There's no question. But even telling me what you've gone through and what you're doing reminds me of how I need to look at the people around me. And you've inspired me even in this simple conversation. And our elderly, it's so unfair. Age is such an unfair thing because it takes from us in so many ways. I can say to you that there's a 70% chance of rain coming this week by how my knee feels. And we have a cold front by my shoulder, judging by that, there's coming. And so what happens is age takes our ability to do the things that we do. It slows our mind. It makes us reliant on medical or others. And the fact that I do want you to know, under all the hardships, the fact that you had the ability to care for your father or your family is a gift. Even if it were hard days, you got memories that that a healthcare worker wouldn't have been able to tell you in the last days because they've moved on to somebody else. So God bless you, and keep doing what you're doing and keep inspiring. And they're really, this isn't my saying, you've heard it many times. There's not bad days, there's bad moments in days. And you have to change the way you celebrate those little victories. And sometimes victories are a nice cup of tea or a piece of chocolate. Sometimes the simplicity of what's around us, it's just a matter of taking a look at the blessings that we have and remembering that this isn't overused, but there's so many people who have less than we do that you sometimes have to take a look at what we have and be strong. So my advice to you is keep doing what you're doing, because there's so many reasons why you should be proud of who you are and the man you've become and the people that you represent. And the loss of your father is a symbol of strength of who you've become because of him. So God bless you.
Think, just as you shared, and I think everybody on here knows, but one thing I like to tell people, is all the challenges we've gone through have made us the person who we are today. And it might not have been easy. Everybody has a different journey, but this is why we're here now and kind of what we've been through and all that kinds of things, and just kind of like you shared as well, even though the struggles are going through now and some days are not easy by any means, I know I'm going to look back at these days someday and say, I wish I could, I wish I could have that day over again. But, with all the things, my dad, we were in and out of emergency rooms and hospitals and whatever. And he was a fantastic person, a fantastic spirit and all that kind of stuff. I never, after he passed away, I didn't have one regret of something I did or didn't do for him. Like I said, he was just an incredible man. I'd share with Bill, and I think everybody else he was a special guy. He was actually a retired Lutheran minister. He was a minister for 65 years. Wonderful, preached all the way up into COVID. He actually did my aunt's funeral the Saturday before he passed away. He married my son in November. So he was doing the Lord's work until the end, and that's kind of what my mission is to carry that on, and I guess I'll kind of overstep here a little bit. I've talked to Bill, and I know that he mentioned you, and I'm trying to figure out how we can partner and how I can leverage your network to get my message out and kind of work together to kind of get that out, and I don't know how that'll work out, but that's one of my things as well. It would scare the heck out of me for doing that, but now I have a reason to do it.
That's it. Well, it's just a crack in the door, right? It's up to you to kick it in.
Exactly. Yep.
You know what?
Yeah.
Somebody said this to me. I wish it was my line, but somebody said to me, every time you want to take a look at your father. Every time you miss your father, look in the mirror. There's so many mannerisms. The way we even if you don't look like your father, it's the way your eyes look or the way you move, or maybe he taught you to build something or fix something, or maybe the way you speak. But the truth of the matter is, if he was worth his weight in salt, which every father should be to their children, you should see him every time you look in the mirror. And it sounds, judging by what you've just said to me about him and what he's done, that there's probably more of him in you than you see. So I hope the next time you look, you recognize that. Yeah, it's an incredible story. You're an incredible man, and I'd love to network. That's the reason we get together in these things. Bill brings people together because he knows they're supposed to be.
Yes, he does. Awesome.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. Powerful. Thank you. All right. We got a couple more minutes. Anybody else? Any
Uh,
question? Then go ahead.
I do want to throw in really quick, Danny, I just want to say, I don't have any questions, but I definitely appreciate this conversation. And you really just gave me a shift in perspective when just telling the story about your friend whose dad has dementia, because my grandmother actually has dementia. And that's a big part of my life is, taking care of her and making sure she's good. And sometimes, how your friend mentioned, like his dad asking the same question over and over. And I experience that all the time where my grandmother will call me and ask something or say something and literally will call me 2 to 5 minutes later with the same thing. And we go through that a good 4 or 5 times. And sometimes I can find myself getting a little frustrated, especially like if I'm working or, if I'm dealing with my son or if I'm, having meetings. Because even if I'm having meetings, if she calls me, I sometimes want to answer just in case it's an emergency or something like that. But then she's calling and calling and calling and, it can definitely get a little frustrated. But like I said, you just gave me that shift in perspective as far as, enjoying these moments and really appreciating what we have here while it's in front of us, because my grandmother also recently got diagnosed with cancer. So that's something that we're going to be dealing with here soon as well. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. I definitely appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, listen, I want you to find a gem in that. I'm challenging you here during these struggling times and the lack of time that you're going to get. And that's the truth of the matter is under both of those circumstances that you've described with her just means that, there's an expiry date somewhere moving forward. So I don't want you to miss an opportunity, and I want you to get a gem, because there's going to be an opportunity where you're going to have a chance to speak to family or friends when her passing comes. And you're going to have a gem that's going to inspire somebody in that room. She's going to have told you something about her sister, her daughter, granddaughter, a friend. She's going to, in that question ideology that I hope I inspire you with, she's going to give you something that there's going to be somebody in the room that will need to hear what you have to say. And that's why I'm on this call with you today specifically, as I'm telling you right now, she's going to tell you something or share something with you that you're going to find is the key that somebody else needs to get through a grieving and hard time. So recognize that and don't look through the sliver of the door. Kick it open. The next time she calls, use it as an instigation to influence a positive conversation about something you didn't know. God bless you.
That's powerful. Thank you. I think Cherie, I think you were unmuted there.
Yes, I'll make this quick. I know we only have a few minutes, but it was so very nice and a pleasure to meet and get to listen to you talk today, Danny. So I really appreciate your time. The question I have is, as I was listening to you talk and just kind of present your story, a lot of what you said had, it sounded very similar to some of the affirmations that I have been repeating to myself for the last, I think today's day 19. Are there things that you do on a daily basis to continue to feed that spirit, to feed that the mental thought process, to have that better perspective? And if so, what are the other things that you do?
It's such a great question. And as you asked that, I literally got goosebumps because I knew the answer before you had even finished the question. And this is important, at least to me. So I hope that you guys find importance in this. I was never good and never able to achieve anything until I forgave myself for my own shortcomings. We hold ourselves so high in what we hope to accomplish in life and how we hope to represent ourselves to other people. And because we hold ourselves to that grindstone, because nobody can do what you can do for yourself, we often don't take a look at the mistakes that we've made. And if we do, we use them as a reason to hold ourselves back. I don't know anything about you, and I wish you absolutely the best, but don't let the hardships of yesterday or the shortcomings we've achieved prevent us from growing and being better. So when you're looking at what you want to be, forgive yourself for what you were and let it go. It's too heavy to carry everything that we went through yesterday in order to for us to pick up the achievements we need to tomorrow. So I had to forgive myself for not being a good father to my son. I have to forgive myself for the shortcomings to my wife. I have to forgive myself for not calling Bill back when I say that I will. I have to do all of those things and understand that I'm human and that I don't intentionally hurt others or do things malicious or try to not be the best version of myself, but my shortcomings are just because I'm human. And I have such a strong direction of where I want to go that I can't waste the fuel of carrying something from yesterday. So when you're looking at who you want to be and where you want to go, I really want you to take a moment. It doesn't need to be more than a moment, maybe even a few minutes, but take a look at the hardships that you've been through and the struggles that consume your thought and discard them as you would a piece of paper. And I love that line because if I threw away a piece of paper, I would never go looking for it in a few weeks. I would never care because I let it go. And in hypnotherapy and things that I do with some of my clients, I use that term because if you were to write it down and throw it away, it is gone. And anything that's preventing you or slowing you, discard it as you would a piece of paper and just continue to move forward towards what tomorrow's going to be fantastic. It's always sunny somewhere. And the things that we're going through that have already passed, we can't change, we can't do anything about, but we can change what we're doing tomorrow or later today. So I hope that answers your question or inspires you, because I do want you to know that when you have a plan of where you're going, yesterday can't slow you down.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, it's powerful. You guys are getting nuggets after nuggets, the gold gems there. So amazing. So as we're coming to the end and wrapping up, Danny, I'm truly blessed that God brought us together in our lives, the journey, the path we're taking, the commitment you and I have made to build a brand that goes out and changes the world. You know, this Bill Korman's mindset revolution is just one small piece of that. I've said many, many times that in this order, my relationship with God, my relationship with my family, the next thing after that is when that fuels my tank and just keeps me going is when somebody says, hey, you know, when you said this or when you did that, you know, that was powerful, that moved me. That the most important one, I've truly blessed to have heard this a couple of times, is that you changed my life. Right. And so, and I'm excited to be on this journey with you and where we're going with, you know, what we're doing with all of our companies and the impact it's having and where we're going. So guys, if you're watching this Bill Korman's Mindset Revolution on a replay, one of the things I want to do is just watch this over and over again, because the nuggets that Danny shared are coming from his heart. And I promise you, it will help you with this mindset change you need to have, the breakthroughs you've been praying for your whole life. Just listen to it over and over and over again, not just one time, but many, many times, and watch what transforms in your life. If you guys want to check out more of us, obviously you go to Star 97 FM. You'll see
Star 97 FM.
Sorry. You go. WBLR star 97fm.com. We'll get you
WBLR 99.9 FM. That's you got to say it like that from now on.
That's right. Bill. Yeah, Danny's working on it. He's actually training me for the radio voice and the co-host and all that kind of
Come
stuff.
on, Bill, get the voice.
That's
you
it.
guys
That's
will
it.
see that all coming down. Star 97 FM and WBLR
Wow,
99.9. coming to you live.
So
Awesome,
good.
guys. So my prayer is, again, that you take this. For those of you on here, you got a firsthand. Those of you watching it, please listen to it over and over and over again. And again, if you need any other resources, reach out to us. We're happy to be able to help you. It's our mission in life to help you with that mindset shift and change and breakthrough. So, Danny, my brother, I love you. I appreciate the you're taking your time out. You got super busy, guys. He's all over the world, and I literally just texted him yesterday, and he says, "Of course, yes and yes." That's what he said. Yes and yes, I will be there. So, you guys have an amazing, blessed day, weekend, and let's go out and change the world together. Take care.
Love it. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.